Hello and good afternoon, CTS266 Section 840 students for the spring 2016 semester at Anne Arundel Community College. This is the Cisco Networking Academy CCNP Switch course, and this afternoon's video tutorial is going to be our continuation on Lab 10-2. And in 10-2, we're going to be taking a look at Part 2 of the lab, where we're going to be configuring VLAN ACLs as well as RACLs, so VACLs, VLAN ACLs, and router access lists, or RACLs. So we've got our scenario here presented to us where we need to configure a VLAN ACL because we've got a temporary staff member and we want to make sure that they can not access the rest of the staff VLAN but can still get to the default gateway so of the staff subnet to connect to the rest of the network and to the internet service provider. So let's go ahead and dive in here. The first thing we need to do is make a change here on DLS W01 on FA106. So let's go from user exec to privilege exec in a global config and interface FA106. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say switch port mode access and switch port access, and we're going to do VLAN 100, and this is our staff VLAN. And then what we're going to do show run interface FA106. We're going to say no, and we're going to remove the private VLAN host association here. If you remember from our previous video, this was our primary VLAN, which was VLAN 150, and this was our secondary community VLAN, VLAN number 152. So we're going to remove that association, and I need to paste that in there. So let's get that association removed. And so now we just have a basic switch port here. Let's say switch port host, in fact. There we go. Do show run int FA106. So we've got port fast on, switch port mode access, access VLAN 100, and we are good to go. And the port is not shut down, so the port is up. So what we're going to do, this is host C, as in Charlie, and I've got host C configured here, and host C is currently using IP address 172.16.100. .150, and let's go ahead and pull that host up here. And let's see if we've got the right. There we go. All right, so as you can see, the IP is 172.16.100.150, and the default gateway is 172.16.100.1. So we're ready to go here from the perspective of PC C as in Charlie. And as you can see, we are pinging that 172.16. Let's go ahead and say ping 172.16.100.1. So that's our default gateway right now, and that was set up with HSRP. That's a virtual IP floating between DLS W01 and 02, with 01 being the primary right now. So let's get to the VACL, the VLAN ACL. Now remember that when we talk about the three different types of control that we can use when we're talking about ACLs, and let's go back to red here. So we've got the RACL, and this is the router ACL, and this is for a layer 3 interface. Now, you should be familiar with these because these are from the CCNA curriculum. In fact, both the routing and switching essentials text as well as the scaling network text had extensive chapters on router ACLs, or just Cisco iOS ACLs, you'll hear them referred to. Then we were introduced in this course to the VACL, or the VLAN ACL. And this RACL is for between layer 3 domains, right? So if I was going between VLANs, or if I was going between routers, I would be using a router ACL. If I wanted to deal with traffic inside the same VLAN at layer 3, I would use a VACL. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So this is layer 3, but this is in the same VLAN. Right? So that's the same VLAN. And then we saw the PACL, or the port ACL. And these are layer 2. They can use layer 3 information. And I'm actually going to demonstrate that for you because we're going to talk about the order of operations. So these are for a layer 2 switch port, and that can be an access port or it could be a trunk port. So it could be an access port and it could be a trunk port. And so those are the 3 different types of ACLs that we've seen so far. The layer 3 ACL, the RACL, the one we're very familiar with, the newly introduced VACL for dealing with traffic inside the same VLAN. And again, we can do layer 3 or layer 2. We're going to be dealing with layer 3. And then we've got the PACL or the port ACL, where we don't want to do, or where we want to apply it to the actual port. Now, the key thing to note here with PACLs is that they are only in the inbound direction to the port. So when we talk about order of operations, the first thing that is going to be evaluated, and let me clear the screen here and try to bring up a better, we may go to the whiteboard here. Let's clear this from a previous video. All right, so when we're talking about the VLAN ACLs, the PACLs, the VACLs, and the RACLs, what we're looking at, excuse me, what we're looking at is we've got a decision to make as to what first of all, which one we're going to use, and then we need to figure out which one is going to be interpreted first. So if these are switches here, right, and the traffic is coming inbound to the switch, the first thing that is going to be looked at is going to be the PACL or the port ACL. And this is going to be for traffic that's running layer 3 between VLANs. It would be the PACL, then the VACL, and then the iOS ACL, which is commonly referred to as a RACL or an RACL. And so that's the order of operations when we're talking about if I had a PACL and a RACL and a VACL, which one would be interpreted first, and what is that order of operations? So again, it's PACL, VACL, and then the iOS ACL. And when I'm saying between VLANs, if it was, let's say we have VLAN 10 is here, and you've got a PC, let's say we have a PC over here that's plugged in, and then VLAN 20 is over here, and we've got a PC plugged in over here. Put these PCs in real quick. And then it's the same thing in the outbound, or it's just the reverse order in the outbound direction. It's going to hit the ACL first, then it's going to hit the VACL, and then it's going to continue on the rest of the way, right? So coming in, it's going to, for routed packets, it's going to do the PACL, the VACL, the iOS ACL. Then it's going to do on the outbound, going out, it's going to do the ACL and the VACL. Now, the reason that you don't see the PACL here, why not? Where's the PACL at? Why is there no PACL? Exactly. The PACLs are inbound only. So they're inbound only, which is why we see it here, and it's actually the first thing that's evaluated, followed by the VACL and then the RACL. But here on the outbound, going over here to this PC and VLAN 20, we don't see it. And when we talk about packets within the same VLAN, right? So we've got a switch here, and then we've got a PC. It's PC1. We'll say PC2 over here. PC2's plugged in. Here's my switch. When we're talking about a VACL, or with bridged traffic, I should say, we'll say bridged traffic. So when we're talking about bridged traffic, as opposed to routed packets, and this was my routed packets up here. So bridged traffic, where everybody's in the same VLAN, we're talking about VLAN, let's just say 10. VLAN 10, you've got the PACL, which is first, the PACL. Then you've got the VACL. Now remember, we're not going between VLANs here. There are no routed packets from VLAN 10 to 20, so there is no iOS ACL. And then in the outbound direction to this PC, you've got it only the VLAN. Didn't want that there. I wanted the VACL. Look out. Only the VACL, right? Because again, the PACL is inbound only, which is why we don't see it over here on the outside. So when we take a look at the differences here, right, this is going to drive our use case. And how do we want to attack the problem that we're presented with? You know, in terms of what kind of traffic are we trying to allow? What kind of traffic do we want to deny? So again, if we're looking at routed packets, something that would be going between VLANs, this is the order of operations and evaluation. If we're talking about bridged packets, and this is our use case right now, we're going to be doing everything within the same VLAN. VLAN, is it 150, 100? VLAN 100, staff VLAN. So VLAN 100. So our order of operations on the inbound traffic would be the PACL, then the VACL. And we're going to prove this here because we're going to do the VLAN ACL. And then I'm going to throw a PACL right there on FA 106 on DLSW01. We're going to put a PACL here that denies, we're going to deny all traffic. And you're going to see that it's going to break the ability of the host to ping when it was working. All right, so again, routed packets up here, packets going between VLANs. This is the order of operations: PACL, VACL, RACL. And then if it's going outbound, it's ACL, VACL, just the opposite order without the PACL because there's no outbound setup for the PACL. With bridged packets in the same VLAN, and this is screaming, this is what we're going to be doing. This is the VLAN ACL scenario in the bridged VLAN, the same VLAN. This is what we're going to be doing. It's the PACL, the VACL, and then it's just the VACL, right? Because the PACL goes away on the outbound, the egress from the switch. All right, so let's drop back over here. Let's clear the screen and go back to the cursor. So we've got full connectivity. Everything's working great. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and configure and apply our ACL. Now, we're doing it on DLSW01 because that is where our host is located. So IP access list extended, and they want us to call this, I'll say temp. It's temp-host in the worksheet, but we're just going to go ahead and go with host. So they want us to permit all IP traffic from host 172.16.100.150. So from this host, and then to who? What's the destination? Well, the destination is going to be 172.16.100.0, and then we're going to throw the wildcard mask on here. So, whoops. So here is what we're going to be doing. We're allowing traffic, IP traffic, from host 172.16.100.150. So this is that MacBook that we have, right? That traffic is going to be allowed, and I'm going to talk about really what we're saying here. And we're trying to match, basically, is going to be allowed through to 172.16.100.0/24. Now, when we create this ACL, what we're actually creating, we're not actually trying to filter the traffic. We are trying to match the traffic. So when I'm saying we're going to allow, really what we're saying here in the context of the VLAN ACL, because again, we're not using this as a RACL, a router ACL. This is going to be used as a VACL. And a VLAN access list is very similar to a route map, where with a route map, you would have either an ACL or a prefix list, and then inside the route map, you would refer to that ACL or prefix list in order to match the traffic that you would like to manipulate. And that's what we're doing here. We're saying that we want to match. So again, didn't mean to give the impression that it's an ACL in terms of we're going to allow or deny. We are matching. What traffic do we want to manipulate? So again, 172.16.100.150, we're trying to match any IP traffic going from that MAC to that network. And then the next thing that we're going to do, let's clear the screen here. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to say permit IP. So in other words, match, ICMP, match any ICMP traffic from host 172.16.100.150 to 172.16.100.0.0.255, right? So if I were to say do show IP access list, you can see that that is our access list right now. But again, it's not used, we're not using it, or we're not going to use it to filter traffic. We're using it to match traffic, just like with a route map. And that's a great segue. So now let's go to the VLAN access map, just like we would with a route map. So let me get out of here. And what we're going to say is VLAN access map. And they're just calling it, we'll say block. Block, and then just like a route map, we give it a sequence number. So I could say 10, 100, whatever. So we'll say block and then 100. Now, just like a route map, I can match something, like if I were to try to match the access list or a prefix list, that's where I would do this. So match IP address, and then we're going to put in the ACL. Because remember, when we did the route map, we would come in and say match IP address, and if it was a prefix list, remember, we had to say prefix list. But here we're just matching an ACL, and it can be named or numbered like you see there. So we're going to put in the name of the ACL, which was temp. Now, I've matched what I'm looking to match. Now I need to take an action. What is it that I want to do? Do I want to drop the packets I'm matching, or do I want to forward the packets I'm matching? So remember, what was the use case? What was our criteria or our requirements? The requirements were that the temporary host or the temporary employee using the temporary PC was not to access any of the staff VLAN. So we have literally blocked ICMP and all IP traffic by matching it. Now, so what we need to say now is the action is going to be to what? We don't want to allow that, so we want to drop it. So now that we've dropped any traffic that we match with our ACL for IP or ICMP from 172.16.100.150 going to 172.16.100.0, that whole subnet, any traffic that we match, we drop it. Now, it's very important to remember that just like an ACL and just like a route map, at the end, or a prefix list, at the end, you have an implicit deny, which means that if I just bailed out right now, all other traffic is also going to be dropped. But we don't want that. Remember, we want other traffic to be able to get to the default gateway. So let's go ahead and say VLAN access map, and we're calling it block, and I'll say 200, and the action is forward again. So this is kind of like my permit IP any. At the end, after I've denied a whole bunch of things in an ACL, I would say permit IP any to allow everything else through. And I'm kind of doing the same thing here, right? Where we've got the where's my action at? Up here. Match IP address. Where's my drop action? No, we had it in here. And sorry, I'm looking for the drop statement in here, and I know it's in here. Match the IP address. Action drop. Oh, there it is. Sorry, it was right there. Looking further up. So it was action drop. So we dropped all of that. So now we're going to allow the rest of the traffic to go through. So just like a route map, now all we need to do is go to the interface. And in this case, it's going to be the VLAN, right? Because this is a VLAN ACL, because we're dealing with traffic within VLAN 100. So from global config, we're going to say VLAN, filter. VLAN filter, and the name of our filter is block, and the VLAN list, well, what VLAN is it that we're impacting here? So it's VLAN 100. So now let's go ahead and throw out a do show VLAN access map. And you can see it's called block. First sequence is 100. And we're going to match IP address temp. And remember, that's the ACL. So for traffic we match that positively matches within that ACL we created, we're going to drop it. Then we've got our next statement, 200, which says match clauses when it's empty means we're going to match everything, and the action is to forward. So anything other than what we match, we're going to allow through. All right, so here is where we're going to test this VLAN ACL. So from host C, and that is this individual right here. So here is host C. So let's try to ping. It says host A, so ping 172.16.100.50. And this ping should fail. Again, we're trying to communicate with somebody in the same VLAN. So it should definitely fail. What about our default gateway, right? Remember, we're blocking all traffic in the 172.16.100. So ping 172.16.100.1. We try to get to our default gateway. We can't get to our default gateway. In fact, the only thing that we're going to be able to get to with the setup that we have is going to be host D. And host D is sitting over on, and that's a good question, where is host D at in our setup? So let me see what happens here. Let's give host D a ping here. 172.16.200.50. And I don't think, let me take a look real quickly here at the MAC that is host D. All right, I'm configuring the IP address here. I apologize. We had the legacy IP address information was still on here from the previous go, and that was 200.50. Yeah, 172.16.200.1. All right, and that host is plugged into ALS01. There it is on FA06. So let's take a look here. Let's go to privilege exec and into global config, do show run interface FA106. And it's in the wrong VLAN. So he's in VLAN 100. So let's get in there and fix this up. FA106. And what we're going to say is switch port access VLAN 200. So as soon as I hit enter here, we're going to jump back and see, do we get a successful ping from our host? And we do not get a successful ping. So let's troubleshoot here. Let's see what could be wrong. Let's first make sure we're pinging the right address. 172.16.20.50, 172.16.20.50, 16.200.1. So that is correct. It shows that it is up. And let's see here. Do show IP interface brief. Aha. Does anybody see the problem? Actually, I think it went by so quick I missed it. Yeah, so we are up. I apologize. Thought it said down, which would have been odd. So we show up. So that is not the problem. Do show run interface VLAN. Do show run interface. Sorry about that. Interface FA106. And let's take a look here. So switch port access VLAN 200. Do show VLAN brief. And we do have VLAN 200 students. Let's see. Can I ping 172.16.200.1? Did we configure that? So that address is configured. In fact, it should be up here on do show run int VLAN 200. And there it is. And we are the secondary. So DLSW02 is the primary. And we are the secondary. And we do not have connectivity. Oh, you know, I apologize. Yeah, here, we've got that plugged in. And hold on one second. All right, so we weren't all the way plugged in. So we are now, but we're still having that same problem where we cannot ping 172.16.200.50. So let's take a look back over here. Let me make sure that we are in the right port. So host C, trying to ping host D. I apologize. So I'm actually plugged into ALS 01. I should be in DLS 2, actually. FA 106 on DLS 2. So let me do this. Let's make sure. Is that where I'm plugged in? So I just unplugged it, and then let me plug it back in. We should have seen if I'm plugged into the right switch. I don't think I'm in DLS W02, and I'm not. So let's go into global config interface FA 106. Do show run interface FA 106. And exactly. So let's say no. We're going to pull off the private VLAN information here. Copy and paste. And no switch port mode private VLAN host. Copy and paste. And we're going to say switch port host and then switch port access VLAN 200. And then I'm going to pause ever so briefly here, and I will be right back. All right, so we're plugged into DLS W02 into FA 106, and we're in VLAN 200, which is correct. We've got all of our information correct there. And let me check to make sure, because we are still not pinging from this host. So let's check this host real quickly here. Let's make sure 172.16.100.150. And that is correct. I'm basically just cross-checking everything right now to see where the mistake may be. All right, so we're back. So it basically got to the point where I knew that something was wrong, and it was that IP routing, for whatever reason, I hadn't enabled IP routing on DLS W02, and so my troubleshooting, I was on the other MacBook, which unfortunately we can't see, and I could ping the default gateway, but I couldn't get past my default gateway. And that led me to take a look real quickly at the at whether or not IP routing was running. So I actually pulled the VLAN access, the VACL, off just to get it working, to see, and this is typically a good thing to do, is see that it works first, and now let's apply the VLAN ACL. So from here I should be able to also ping 100.1, and there's my default gateway. And then we're going to say, what was the other address that we were not supposed to be able to ping? 100.50. And 100.50, well, actually 100.50 is a host on ALS1 that does not exist. So we moved the host over to DLS2. So let's go ahead now. Let's reapply that ACL, or the VACL, the VLAN access map. You can see where I pulled it off here. And where was it at? All right, so let's go ahead. Sorry about that. DLS W01. So there's our no. So we'll say Control A. Whoops, Control A. All right, so we apply the VLAN access filter, and let's kick off the ping to 100.1. And as you see, the VACL is actually doing exactly what it's supposed to do, right? It's not allowing that traffic, the ping traffic, to go through to the default gateway IP address. So we'll do a Control C. Now if I try to ping 200.50, we should have success. And there you go. And if you had another host, 172.16.100.50 down on ALS 1, then you would end up with the same results. It would not work going down to anything in 172.16.100. And so that is how the VLAN ACL, the VACL, functions, right? We create an ACL, it's like a regular RACL, but then just like a prefix list in a route map, we create a VLAN access map. And from that VLAN access map, we match the ACL, the RACL that we created, and that's going to match the traffic that we're interested in manipulating, whether it's forward, drop, what action are we going to take on that? That's how you would do that. So you can see this isolates that PC. Now, one last thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and look at the PACLs, the port ACLs. So to prove that the port ACL will override the VACL. Now remember, the VACL, we put that in global config when we enabled it down there with that VLAN filter block VLAN list 100. So let's put the PACL, and we're actually going to put the PACL right onto the PACL gets put right on the port. So let's go ahead and knock that out right now. And we're going to do that on, not VLAN, on DLSW 01. All right, so remember, a PACL, you can do layer 2, do it on a layer 2 switch port, and we can use an ACL or we can use a MAC filter list, right? So we've got sort of a choice as to whether or not we're going to try to use the MAC address, or if we want to go ahead and just use an extended ACL, right? Or a standard ACL. So here's what we're going to do. We'll just use the ACL. So I'm going to say IP access list. And we'll say extended, and we'll use a name. We'll just say no ICMP. So no dash ICMP is going to be the name of our ACL. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say deny, and let's do ICMP, and this is going to be the source, right? So the source address would be 172.16.100.150. That's the host, and we're going to say 0.0.0.0 and any. So we're going to deny ICMP going to any, and then we're going to say permit IP any. So other traffic would be allowed to get through. So let's go ahead and drop into interface FA106, right? Do show run interface FA106. This is where we have our host, and we're going to say IP access group ACL, whoops, sorry, and not the ACL, the ACL name, and we called ours no-ICMP, and this is going to be, again, the only direction it can be is the inbound direction. So here is our ping. It's working beautifully to the 172.16.200.50. This PACL that we're going to drop in here is going to change that. And again, that's the only difference. You do the exact same thing that you would do when you're configuring a RACL. In fact, you even put it on a port, right? Or you could put it on the VLAN. But again, it's on a layer 2 port, right? And that's why it's called a port ACL. But as you see right here, we're using layer 3 information in order to make a decision as to what traffic is going to be denied and what traffic is going to be permitted. So again, that's the order of operations, the order of precedence. You can see here the PACL takes precedence. It is being looked at first. If it wasn't, those pings to 172.16.200.50, those would all be going through without any problem at all. And so again, hopefully that makes a little bit more sense when we talk about the differences between the PACL, the VACL, and the RACL, and how exactly those are used. All right, so the last thing we've got is we're going to be taking a look at RACLs, or router ACLs. And so these are going to be applied to the VLAN. And first of all, since we're denying all ICMP traffic here, let me say control, actually let's let that go. So let's go ahead and pull this off. So let's say no IP access group, no ICMP, and take a look. Boom. Immediately starts to function. So again, you've got your options. Every use case is going to be different. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create some router access lists that are going to separate the student and staff VLANs. And again, these would be RACLs because we're talking about manipulating traffic between layer 3 domains. So let's go ahead and pull together here on DLSW01. We're going to say, exit out here, IP access list, and we'll go ahead and do, what do they have us doing? They're looking to do extended but not named, so I prefer to do them named, so we'll just say extended and we'll call it 100, right? So we're going to say permit TCP. So we're permitting TCP from 172.16.200.0. So from this whole subnet /24 to the subnet 172.16.100.0, and then again the whole subnet established, right? And then that's going to be for any established connections that establish TCP connectivity. And then we've got the access list, so we've actually already got that in there. So let's go ahead and say permit ICMP, and same thing, 172.16.100.200.0. And let me make sure I'm getting this right here, 172.16.100.0. And echo reply, right? So what we're going to be blocking, or not blocking, I should say, but what we're going to be permitting is an echo reply, right? So if I were to send an ICMP echo request, which is the ping packet, then I would get an echo reply back. So we're allowing replies to ping packets from 172.16.200 to the 172.16.100, in addition to TCP connections that are established. The traffic is allowed in the reverse direction. So if it's allowed inbound and it's established, the traffic is then allowed in the opposite direction with that established keyword. All right, and then we're going to say deny IP 172.16.200.0, and we're going to do that whole subnet again. And we're actually just denying everything at this point, 172.16.100.0. And we're going to, well, actually, we don't need to log it. And then access list, whoops, sorry, permit IP any. So that's our catch-all down at the end. So let's go to interface VLAN 200, IP access group. Or actually, where are we at here? Interface VLAN 200, IP access group, and we just called this 100 inbound. So we're applying this RACL in the inbound direction. Now, we have to do the same or similar task over on DLS W02. And so let's go over to DLS W02, where we're going to do much the same thing that we just did. So we're going to say IP access list extended, and we'll just call this 100. We're going to say permit TCP 172.16.200.0, and then 172.16.100.0 established. And if I roll back here, if I do a question mark, you can see that when we look at the established, it says match established connections. So TCP established connections are matched. All right, then we're going to say permit ICMP 172.16.200.0, 0.0.0.255 to 172.16.100.0, echo reply, and then we've got, oops, sorry about that, and then we've got deny IP to 172.16.200.0 to 172.16.100.0, and then permit IP, whoops, we've got a typo there, where is it at? And there it is. So let's get this correct here, 172.16.200.0, there we go. And then we're going to say permit IP any, and let's go to interface VLAN 100, and say IP access group inbound, access group 100 inbound, and then int VLAN 200, interface VLAN 200, and we're going to say IP access group 100 inbound. So we're applying this in the inbound direction on DLS W02 to both VLANs 100 and 200, but we've only applied it to VLAN 200 on DLS W01. So What it's asking us to do is, if I were to say do show IP interface VLAN 200, and you should be able to see here that we have inbound access list is 100. And so that's the access list that we've created. So now we're going to test things out. We're going to go with option 1 if you're following along in the lab on step F, which is we are going to go ahead and change the assignment on ALSW01 for FA106. So show run int FA106. And this is going to be assigned to VLAN 200. Change it to 100. So let's get into global config, interface VLAN, I'm sorry, not interface VLAN, interface FA106, and then switch port access VLAN 100. Host A should be connected to ALS1, so we're going to move the MacBook into that port and assigned 172.16.100.50 with the default gateway. So we'll set that up. Host B is going to be connected to ALSW02. So I'm going to pause here for a second to make the config changes and then switch the cables around, and we'll be ready to go. So stand by just 1 second. All right, so we've got our host plugged in and ready to go. So it says ping the staff host from the student host. And again, the staff VLAN is VLAN 100. The student host is going to be VLAN 200. It says the ping should fail. So, and I know that you can't see this, but if I were to say ping 172.16.100.50, and the ping is actually failing, right? So that ping is failing. Even though you can't see it, you'll have to take my word for it. The ping is actually failing. So now it says ping the student host from the staff host. So the staff host, which is in ALSW01, this is the staff host here. It's in VLAN 100, the IP 172.16.100.50. And let me go ahead and say ping 172.16.200.50. Now, the reason that this is going to work, remember, we applied, or I should say we created and then applied the router ACL on DLSW02 in both directions, not both directions, but for both VLANs, but did not for DLSW1. So as you can see here, we are able to ping across, and it works like a champ. All right, well, this is going to wrap up Lab 10-2. This is our final lab of the semester from the Networking Academy. I will see you guys on Monday evening for the written final. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.